The alarms had stopped screaming an hour ago. Lisa Grant knew this was bad. The screaming meant power. The silence meant death. She stood at the window of the rescue ship and looked down at the planet below. It was orange and angry and wrong. The colony transport had hit the atmosphere at the wrong angle. The pilots had tried to correct. They had failed. Now the ship lay broken across 50 kilometers of rock and sand, and most of the people inside it were gone. The communication officer turned from his station. His face was white. "We are getting heat signatures from the emergency shelter," he said. "Deep down, under the debris, the scanner says 53 of them, all children." Lisa did not move. She did not blink. She had been a for 18 years. She had worked on 7 different worlds. She had seen what happened when rescue came too late. She had seen what happened when nobody tried at all. "How long until they run out of air?" she asked. 12 hours, maybe 14. Lisa turned away from the window. She walked to the command center where Captain was talking to the council. The council appeared on the screen as 3 separate creatures. One was the crystalline being named. The third was the Vox collective mind, which showed itself as a shifting pattern of light and sound. Captain was already shaking his head. "The radiation down there is too high," he was saying. "We would lose any team we sent." "The children cannot be saved," said its voice like breaking glass. "The math is simple. The cost is too high. The benefit is too small. Humans are not advanced enough to warrant the loss of resources." Lisa stepped forward. "I will go." Everyone looked at her. "Commander Grant," Captain said carefully, "you understand what you are offering." "I understand," Lisa said. "I will go down, I will get those children, and I will bring them back alive." Made a sound that might have been amusement. "You are one human, the dangers are many, you will die." "Maybe," Lisa said. She had learned not to argue with they did not respond to emotion, they responded to facts. "But those children will not die because I did not try. Send me down. Give me the tools I need, I will bring them up." There was a long silence. Then Captain nodded to the communications officer. "Prepare the descent pod," he said, "and get Dr. Grant everything in the medical kit that might help with radiation exposure." 30 minutes later, Lisa was in the pod. The small ship screamed as it cut through the orange atmosphere. She sat in the single pilot seat and watched the world grow bigger and more angry. The planet was called. The colony transport was called the New Hope. The irony was not lost on her. The pod hit the ground hard. Dust rose up and covered the viewport. Lisa waited for it to settle. Then she sealed her suit, checked the oxygen levels, and opened the hatch. The wind hit her like a physical thing. It carried sand and heat and something that smelled like burnt metal. The sky above was the color of rust. The ground around her was broken rock and twisted metal. Somewhere under all of it, 53 children were waiting to see if anyone would come. Lisa pulled out her scanner. The device showed a blinking heat signature about 200 meters away, down and to the east. The path would take her through the wreckage. The radiation levels were high, too high, but not impossible. She started walking. The colony ship was not designed to crash. Its corridors were now at strange angles. Its walls were split open. Lisa moved through the broken spaces carefully. Each step could bring a wall down on her. Each breath was filtered through her suit, but she could taste the poison in the air anyway. The heat signatures got stronger, 53 points of light on her scanner. 53 small children in a dark place waiting. Then she heard the sound, a child crying. The noise echoed through the metal corridors like it had come from somewhere far away and somewhere very close all at once. Lisa moved faster. She did not run. Running would waste oxygen, but she moved with purpose. She moved like someone who would not accept failure. The emergency shelter had been built deep inside the ship. It was designed to survive crashes, radiation, pressure changes, and extreme temperatures. The door was jammed. Lisa pulled a cutting tool from her pack and began to work. The metal was thick. It took 20 minutes. Her heart was loud in her chest. She pushed the sound away and kept cutting. When the door finally gave way, the smell hit her. Blood and vomit and urine and fear. The children had been down here in the dark for 4 hours. Some of them had given up hope. Lisa pulled off her helmet just enough for them to see her face. She did this deliberately. She needed them to see that she was human. That help had come. That someone had decided their lives were worth saving. 53 children stared at her. The oldest looked maybe 12. The youngest was a boy who could not have been more than 2 years old. Some of them were crying, some were silent. Some were just watching, waiting to see what this stranger would do. "My name is Lisa Grant," she said. Her voice was calm and steady. She had learned long ago how to be strong for people who needed strength. "I am here to take you out of this place. We are going to move together. We are going to move slowly, and we are going to get out." A girl who looked about 7 stepped forward. She had red hair and freckles. Her name tag said Emma. "Are we going to die?" Emma asked. Lisa counted the children 3 times, 53, all alive. Some were bleeding. Some had broken bones. One girl had a deep cut on her leg that needed attention. But they were all alive, and that was what mattered. She pulled off her suit and used the material to wrap the leg of the injured girl, whose name was. The bandage would not last long. Nothing would last long down here. But it bought them time, and time was the only currency that mattered. The children watched her work. Some of them cried quietly, others were silent. The oldest ones, a group of teenagers around 13 or 14, watched with different eyes. They were already thinking like survivors. Their fear was still there, but it was underneath something else. Understanding. These teenagers knew they might have to help. They were already preparing themselves for it. Lisa gathered them all in a circle on the floor of the emergency shelter. The light from her suit cast long shadows. Outside, the radiation storm that had hit the planet was making everything worse. The thick walls of the emergency shelter would protect them for now, but they could not stay here. The shelter had emergency supplies for maybe 6 hours, then they would have to move. "Listen to me," Lisa said. She stood in the center of the circle so every child could see her face. "I know you are scared. I know everything hurts. I know you want to go home and you think this is the worst thing that will ever happen to you. But I am going to teach you how to survive." A boy about 10 years old raised his hand. His name was, he had asked earlier where his mother was. Lisa had not answered because she did not know. Because the answer was probably that his mother was somewhere in the wreckage and not coming back. "How long will it take?" asked. "I do not know," Lisa said. She did not lie to them, not about things that mattered. "Maybe 6 hours, maybe longer, maybe we will walk all night, but we will get out because that is what we are going to decide to do right now." She pointed to the teenagers. "You 5, she said to the oldest ones. "You are going to be my team leaders. I need you to watch the smaller children. I need you to help them walk. I need you to tell them they are brave when they are scared. Can you do that?" They nodded. She could see the strength in them. The human body was designed for survival, and even in 14-year-olds, that design worked. They were ready to lead. Lisa then looked at the other older children, the ones who were 9, 10, and 11. "You are going to carry supplies. We have water. We have food bars. We have emergency kits. Some of you will help carry these things, not because you have to, but because your brothers and sisters need you to." A small boy named David looked at her with red eyes. "I am too small," he said. "I cannot carry anything." "You can carry something," Lisa said. She knelt down to be at his level. "You can carry hope. When the smaller children see you walking, they will think if David can do it, then I can do it too. That is more important than carrying weight." She stood again and looked at all of them. 53 faces, 53 different kinds of fear, 53 different amounts of strength. "Here is what is going to happen," she said. "In the next hour, we are going to rest and eat. We are going to drink water slowly so we do not get sick. We are going to take care of the ones who are hurt. Then we are going to move up through this ship. We will move slowly. We will move together, and nobody gets left behind." She started teaching them then. She taught them how to move through a dark place without panicking. She taught them how to breathe when the air was bad. She taught them how to watch for danger and how to warn others without screaming. As they ate the emergency food, Lisa told them stories. She told them about her grandmother who had worked in the mines of Mars when the equipment failed, and everyone got trapped underground for 3 days. She told them about the polar explorers of old Earth who had walked across ice when temperatures were so cold that bare skin froze in seconds. She told them about the people who had lived in deserts where the heat would kill you if you made one mistake. "Humans have survived worse than this," she said. "Much worse. For thousands of years, we have lived in places that do not want us alive. We have learned how to think our way through problems. We have learned how to be strong when strong is all we have left. We have learned that giving up is a choice, and right now, we are not going to make that choice." Emma, the red-haired girl who had asked if they would die, came and sat next to Lisa. She was quiet for a long time. Then she asked, "Will we see our parents again?" Lisa did not answer right away. She thought about the question carefully. She thought about the truth and what the truth would do to this 7-year-old girl. I do not know, Lisa said finally. Some of us will, some of us might not, but we will survive. And humans survive so that they can tell stories about surviving, so that other humans can hear those stories and become stronger. You might tell this story one day, you might tell it to your children, and they will become stronger because of it. That is what surviving means. Emma nodded. She did not cry. She just sat there and nodded, and Lisa could see the moment when the girl decided that she was not going to give up. Around her, the other children were also deciding. The teenagers were organizing the supply packs. The older children were checking on the younger ones. The youngest ones were watching the big kids and thinking that if they could do it, maybe they could do it too. Lisa pulled out her scanner and looked at the path ahead, 200 meters up through the corridors, then maybe 400 meters to the surface. The radiation levels were high. Some of the younger children would get sick. Some of them might get very sick. But they would survive because humans survived, and these were humans, and Lisa would not let them forget it. She stood up and looked at all of them, 53 children who had been broken and terrified an hour ago. Now they were something else. Now they were starting to be survivors. "Drink your water," she said. "We leave in 10 minutes, and we are going to walk out of here alive." The children drank their water. They checked their shoes. They held hands in groups. And when Lisa opened the they had been walking for 2 hours when the alarms on Lisa's suit started screaming. She looked at the radiation detector and her stomach went cold. The numbers were climbing, not gradually, fast. The magnetosphere was doing something unusual. The radiation storm was hitting them. Lisa pulled the children into a large cargo hold that had been ripped open by the crash. The metal walls were bent and twisted, but they would provide some shielding. Not much, but some. She did not have time to find anything better. "Everyone sit," she said. Her voice was still calm, but inside her mind was racing through calculations. Radiation exposure, dose rates, how much a child's body could take, how long they could stay in this room before the exposure became serious. The children sat. They knew something was wrong. They could see it in Lisa's face, even though she was trying to hide it. Children were good at knowing when adults were lying. The radiation storm hit like a wave. Lisa could not see it or hear it, but she could feel it. She could feel the weight of invisible particles hitting everything. She could feel the future changing shape. Within an hour, the first children started getting sick. A boy named Tyler, who was 9 years old, threw up. Then a girl named started vomiting. Then 2 more. Then more. The children who had been fine were now flushed and dizzy. Their bodies were rejecting the food because their cells were being damaged and they did not know how to process it. Lisa rationed the water and had the sick children drink slowly. She knew about radiation poisoning. She had studied it. She had seen it on other worlds, and she knew that the next few hours would determine who lived and who did not. The youngest children did not understand what was happening. They just knew that everything hurt and everything was wrong. They cried quietly, afraid of being punished for making noise. It was Leo who scared her the most. He was only 2 years old. His body was the most vulnerable. After 2 hours, he developed a fever that made him shake. His eyes rolled back. He cried in a way that was not a child's cry, but something more animal and desperate. Lisa gathered him into her arms and held him against her chest. She could feel his heart beating fast, too fast. She could feel how small he was, how fragile, how a creature this tiny should not have to suffer like this. She held his face and looked directly into his eyes. "Listen to me," she said. She made sure her voice was strong and steady. "I know you hurt. I know everything is bad right now, but your body knows what to do. Your body is human, and human bodies are built to survive things that should not be survivable. You are going to be okay." She did not know if it was true. She was lying to comfort him. She had learned to do this. She had learned that sometimes lies were the only weapon you had against despair. Leo closed his eyes. His fever was so high that Lisa was worried about brain damage. She had no medicine to give him. She had no way to help him except to hold him and believe hard enough that belief might become real. The older children were terrified. They watched Leo and they understood. They understood that they might not all make it out. They understood that survival was not guaranteed. The 10-year-old who had asked how long it would take came over to Lisa. He sat down next to her. "Is he dying?" asked. "No," Lisa said. She saw a child trying to be a man. She saw fear that was trying to become courage. She saw the beginning of understanding that the universe was not fair and people got hurt for no reason. "He is suffering, But humans suffer and then we survive. That is what we do. My mother told me that, said. When I broke my arm last year, she said humans are hard to break. She said we bounce back. Your mother is right, Lisa said. And she is going to want to hear you say that when we get out of here, so you are going to survive this so you can tell her. Okay. Nodded, he stayed with Lisa and Leo for a long time. He did not talk. He just sat there and bore witness to the suffering, and that was enough. Emma came over too. The red-haired girl knelt down next to Lisa. He is going to be okay, Emma said. It was not a question. It was a statement of fact. Emma had decided this was how it was going to be. Yes, Lisa said, he is. Over the next hours, Lisa held each of the sickest children in turn. She held with the deep cut on her leg. She held who could not stop vomiting. She held Tyler, who was shaking with fever. She held all of them, and she whispered to them. She whispered that their bodies were strong. She whispered that humans had survived ice ages and volcanoes and wars. She whispered that they came from a species that had climbed mountains and crossed oceans and walked on the moon. She whispered that survival was in their blood and their bones and every cell of their body. You can survive anything, she said to each of them. She held their faces and looked them in the eye. You are human, and humans survive. The radiation storm raged outside the cargo hold. The invisible particles kept coming. But inside, 53 children and one woman held onto each other. The older kids held the younger ones. Lisa moved from child to child. She told stories. She whispered hope. She did not allow despair into that space. After 4 hours, the radiation detector on Lisa's suit stopped screaming. The numbers leveled off. The storm was passing. Its magnetosphere was returning to normal. But the damage was done. Several children were seriously ill. Leo's fever was so high that he was unconscious, could barely move. Tyler was shaking violently. Lisa checked the radiation levels in the corridor outside. They were high, but they were dropping. They were dropping faster now. They could move. They had to move because staying here would mean more exposure. She gathered the team leaders, the teenagers who she had assigned to be strong. We have to go now, she told them. I know some of the children are very sick. I know it will be hard. But if we stay here, more of them will get sick. So we are going to move slowly and carefully, and we are going to keep going until we reach the surface. They nodded. They understood. They were 14 and 13 and 12 years old, and they understood that lives depended on them. Lisa took Leo in her arms. The fever had made him light and fragile. She wrapped him in her suit jacket for the warmth he needed. Emma held his hand, helped Tyler stand. And they walked out of that cargo hold and up through the broken ship. They walked through corridors where the air was poison and the walls might fall down at any moment. They walked because Lisa had told them they could survive anything, and they had decided to believe her even when believing the surface was chaos. The radiation had poisoned the air. The dust storms were worse, but Lisa could see the sky now and beyond it the black of space. They were close, so close. She moved carefully. Each step had to be deliberate. The children who were sick could not move fast. Leo was still unconscious in her arms, could barely stand. But they were moving up. Every meter was closer to rescue. The radioactive dust covered everything. It clung to their clothes and skin. Lisa knew that each breath was bringing poison into their lungs. She knew that the older children, the ones who had been walking the longest, had absorbed the most radiation. But they were still walking. They were still moving. The youngest children cried. Their bodies hurt. Their skin burned from the radiation exposure. But they cried quietly because the older ones were strong, and if the older ones could be strong, then crying loud was not necessary. It took another hour to reach the designated pickup zone. The rescue team was waiting. They had soldiers there. They had medical equipment. They had people ready to help. Lisa emerged from the broken hull of the colony ship with 53 children behind her. Some were walking on their own. Some were being carried by the older teenagers. Some were barely conscious. But they were all alive. The commander was a soldier named. His body was hard. His eyes were multiple and did not blink the way human eyes did. He stepped forward when he saw Lisa. You have retrieved them, said. His translator made the words sound like facts being stated about rocks or weather. The council did not believe this was possible. They are here, Lisa said. She was holding Leo, who was still unconscious. They are all here and they are all alive. The medical team moved in quickly. They began assessing the children. They began treating the radiation poisoning. They began the process of trying to keep all 53 of them alive. Lisa set Leo down into the arms of a human medic. The medic was crying as he took the boy. Lisa could see that he recognized him, that Leo was someone's son, that the child had a name and a family and a future. Watch this happen. His expression did not change, but something in his posture shifted slightly. It was hard to read reactions, but Lisa had learned long ago that all beings understood sacrifice. All beings understood love. You risked much for young of another species, said. The council calculated that you would die. They believed the rescue was not feasible. The council does not understand humans, Lisa said. She was tired now. The adrenaline that had kept her moving was wearing off. Her body was starting to hurt. Her suit was contaminated with radiation. You think we calculate cost and benefit like you do. You think we make decisions based on mathematical probability, but humans do not work that way. Waited for her to continue. Humans have spent thousands of years learning how to survive in places where the odds are against us, Lisa said. We have learned that sometimes you have to do something even if the math says it is impossible. We have learned that the value of a child's life cannot be measured in resources or strategy. We have learned to take care of each other because that is what survival is actually about. She looked at the children being loaded into the medical transport. Emma was helping one of the youngest ones climb inside, was counting, making sure everyone was accounted for. The teenagers were being strong for the ones who could not be strong. Those children did not survive because I told them it was probable they would survive, Lisa continued. They survived because I told them that humans survive, and they believed me. They chose to survive. That is something you cannot calculate. That is something that makes humans valuable, whether your council sees it or not. Made a sound that might have been thought processing. His kind did not have facial expressions like humans did, but Lisa could see the shift in his body again. I will include this assessment in my report to the council, he said. Your sacrifice and the resilience of these young humans will be documented. It may influence future decisions about the value of your species in galactic affairs. Lisa did not argue. She did not explain that she was not interested in becoming valuable to a council of beings who measured lives in mathematics. She just nodded and turned back to watch the rescue operation. Emma came running over. She threw her arms around Lisa and held her tight. The girl was shaking from radiation sickness and exhaustion, but she held on like Lisa was the only solid thing in a falling world. We made it, Emma said. We lived. You made it, Lisa said. She held the girl and felt the fear draining out. You were brave, you helped the others. You survived because you decided to survive. One by one, the children came and touched Lisa. They hugged her. They cried. They thanked her. But mostly they just needed to be close to her to know that an adult had believed in them so hard that belief had become real. The medical team worked quickly to get them all aboard the transport ship. The radiation levels outside were getting worse. The team had limited time before it would be unsafe to be out in the open. As Lisa was being helped into the medical transport, placed a limb on her shoulder. His grip was hard and precise. What you did here, he said. The council will discuss it. There will be changes to how we assess humanity's place in galactic society. Your species should prepare for that. Lisa looked at the commander. She thought about the 53 children who had climbed out of a dead ship, because someone had told them they could survive anything, and they had decided to believe it. I am not worried about what the council decides, she said. I am just glad these children lived. But she knew that what had happened in that crashed ship would ripple outward. That report would be studied. That the calculated nature of galactic politics would be disrupted by the irrational, impossible decision to save children against the odds. The transport ship sealed its doors. Through the viewport, Lisa watched surface fade away. The dust and the radiation and the broken ship that had almost been a tomb. She looked at the children around her. 53 survivors. 53 living proof that human 3 months later, Lisa sat in a conference room on Station Meridian. The room was designed for large beings, and it showed. The ceilings were high. The walls were smooth and cold. Representatives from 14 different species were present. They were there. The Vox Collective was there. The crystalline beings-like were there. And the human delegation was there, headed by Commander Lisa Grant. The Galactic Council was voting on a new classification for humanity. The official title was Exceptional Species Worthy of Full Partnership. What it really meant was that humanity would have a seat at the table, that human interests would be considered, that humans were no longer peripheral to galactic affairs. The vote was unanimous. Even the who had initially believed that the rescue was not feasible, even they voted yes. But Lisa was not thinking about the vote. She was thinking about a message that had arrived 3 weeks ago, transmitted across light years from the new settlement on planet 442. It was from Emma, the red-haired girl with freckles. Emma was now 8 years old. Emma was in the settlement school, learning engineering and agriculture and how to build the infrastructure of a new world. The message was a video. Emma's face filled the screen. She was standing in a room that looked like a classroom, but it was made of materials that could survive 442's harsher climate. Behind her, Lisa could see other children. Some of them were from the rescue. Some of them were new. "Dr. Grant," Emma said in the video, "I wanted to tell you something. Yesterday, we had an accident. One of the solar collectors caught fire. Everyone was scared. But I remembered what you said. I remembered that humans survive. And I started organizing the other children. I told them to help each other. I told them that we could fix this because we are humans and we can fix things." Emma paused. She looked directly at the camera, directly at Lisa, across millions of kilometers of space. "We fixed it," Emma said. "Nobody got hurt. We all worked together, and I realized something. You were not just saving us when you came down into that ship. You were teaching us how to save ourselves, and how to save other people too." The video showed Emma leading a group of children through a radiation decontamination procedure. She was explaining what they were doing and why. She was teaching them. She was passing down the knowledge that Lisa had given her. In the conference room on Station Meridian, Lisa felt something break inside her chest. But it was not a bad breaking. It was the kind of breaking that happens when hope becomes real. The message continued. Leo was in the video now. He was 5 years old now, not 2. He was still small, but he was strong. He was helping repair the settlement's water purification system, was there too. He was helping install new radiation shielding, was teaching a class on first aid. Tyler was leading a construction team. Every single one of the 53 children had survived. And more than that, they had become people who saved others. They had become people who taught. They had become part of the new human civilization on. The video ended with Emma again. "Thank you for believing in us," she said. "We are going to make sure you were right. We are going to make sure that humans survive, and we are going to make sure that other humans know they can survive too." Lisa watched the video again. This time, other representatives watched it with her. The commander watched it. The crystalline being watched it. The Vox Collective watched it. They watched children who had almost died learning to live. They watched children becoming teachers. They watched the future being built. When the video ended, the chamber was silent. Then Captain, who had been Lisa's commanding officer on the rescue ship, stood up. He was human. He was proud. He was about to cry, but he was holding it together. "This is what humanity is," said. He was addressing the council. "Not weapons, not technology, not strategic value. This is what we are. We take care of each other. We believe in each other. We pass down knowledge and strength from one generation to the next. We teach our children to survive, and then we teach them to help others survive. That is our value. That is our power." The vote had already been taken, but Lisa knew that the vote would have been unanimous even if this video had come first, because what the council had seen was not just children surviving. What they had seen was the future. The future where humans were raising new generations of humans who would do the same. The future where survival was not just about staying alive. It was about making the universe safer for others. 6 months after the vote, Lisa received another message. This time it was from the main settlement on 442. The children from the rescue had organized something. They called it the Survival School. The Survival School taught other humans, and increasingly other species, how to survive in harsh environments. The teachers were young. Emma was only 9 years old, but she was teaching children from 3 different species how to move through radiation zones safely. Leo was teaching basic medical response, was teaching structural engineering for hostile planets. The oldest survivor, a teenager named Aaron, was the director of the school. He was 17 now. He had written a book about the crash and the rescue. The book was called "You Can Survive Anything." It was being read across human space. It was being translated into the languages of other species. Lisa read the dedication. It said, "To Dr. Lisa Grant, who taught us that survival is not about strength or luck or resources. Survival is about believing in yourself and your people so hard that belief becomes real." Lisa put down the message. She stood and looked out the window of her office on Station Meridian. She could see the docked ships, human ships, ships from species that had become human allies, ships from a galactic community that had been forced to recognize that humans were not peripheral, that humans were essential. But that was not the real victory. The real victory was smaller and more important. The real victory was that 53 children had lived, and because they lived, they had saved others, and because they had saved others, those people were now saving still more. The future was not about galactic politics. The future was about a 7-year-old girl in a crashed ship who had asked if they would die, and a woman who had said no, and a decision that sometimes believing hard enough could make the impossible real. Lisa pulled up the video of Emma one more time. She watched the girl's face as Emma explained the rescue procedure to the other children. She watched Emma's confidence. She watched Emma's belief in herself and her people. She thought about a simple truth that the crystalline beings and the Vox collective did not understand. Humans did not survive because the math said they should. Humans survived because they decided to. Because an adult could tell a child that they could survive anything, and the child would believe it, and that belief would be enough. Somewhere on 442, Emma was teaching. Somewhere on the station, Leo was learning. Somewhere in space, and Tyler and all the others were building the future. And it had started with one woman who had decided that the math did not matter, that the odds did not matter, that the only thing that mattered was that children needed saving, and humans saved their children. Lisa smiled. She submitted her resignation from the rescue command. She was going to 442. She was going to teach at the survival school. She was going to spend the rest of her life making sure that what happened in that crashed ship was not a one-time miracle, that it was a beginning, that it was the start of something that would define what humanity meant to the galaxy. She was going to teach humans to survive, and teach survivors to teach others, and watch as wave after wave of human resilience moved out into the universe like a tide that could not be stopped. Because that was what humans did. They survived, and then they taught others to survive, and then they changed the universe. One child at a time, one moment of belief at a time, one whispered promise that you can survive anything and I will help you do it. That was the real victory. That was the real power of humanity. S did not think like other species, that humans could not be predicted, that humans could do the impossible when the alternatives were unacceptable. Emma was sleeping now, her head on shoulder. Leo was breathing steadily, his fever finally breaking. Was drinking water slowly, her body beginning to process the poison that had been forced into it. They had survived, and in surviving they had changed something. They had shifted the way an entire galactic council saw humanity. But Lisa knew that was not the real victory. The real victory was not in galactic politics or strategic assessments. The real victory was in the simple fact that 53 children had been given a chance to have futures, that they had been given a chance to grow up and tell their own stories. That was enough, that was everything. Was the hardest thing in the world. Shelter door and pointed up through the broken corridors, they followed her without question, because she had told them they could survive anything, and they had decided to believe her. Lisa looked at her directly. She thought about lying. She decided against it. Children knew when you were lying. They could smell it like animals smell blood. Some humans live in places where the weather tries to kill them every day, Lisa said. Some humans climb mountains that are so high that other creatures cannot even breathe. Some humans dive into oceans so deep that the pressure would crush anything else flat, but humans survive. We have been surviving for thousands of years in places that do not want us alive. That is what we do. That is who we are. And right now, you need to be human. She looked at all of them. She saw the fear. She saw the hope that was trying to grow in their eyes. Come on, she said. We have work to do. The children began to move. They were scared. They were hurt. They were hungry. But they were human, and humans were built to survive things that were not supposed to be survived.